everybody, and welcome to this episode of What's New in IBM. I'm your host, PJ Haggerty, and today we're talking to Nisarg Patel about the latest in watsonx and DeepSeek. Tell us what's going on.
Awesome. Hey, everyone, and great to be here, PJ. So I'm a product manager on the watsonx.ai team. What's happening with DeepSeek on watsonx is that earlier this week, we just launched the 2 DeepSeek Llama distilled models on the platform through our deploy and demand catalog, meaning that you can, with just a few clicks, deploy the models on your own dedicated instance for secure and really reliable inferencing to build any kind of use case that you'd like to have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Why? And I kind of already, this is like an insider question.
Yeah.
Why DeepSeek? What made that interesting to folks who are using watsonx?
Totally. So I think at watsonx, we really believe that model choice is the kind of paramount things that our clients want, right? We want to use a different model for any kind of different use case. For a model that has the ability to think, reason, plan, it's really important for any kind of use case around business planning, coding, right, where a lot of kind of thinking is involved, as well as like kind of logical reasoning. Those kinds of capabilities are really important for a model to have, and we want to make sure that we provide that to our clients in any kind of capacity that we're able to. And we already have a couple of customers who are already deploying the model and trying it out. So really excited to see what kind of use cases they're building off of moving forward. But I know that this kind of field and these kinds of reasoning models, they'll continue to get better and innovate, especially over the next few weeks and months. We'll have a lot more of releases from our other partners as well, Meta, Mistral, Llama, as well as IBM Granite, that kind of are building upon the kind of open source ecosystem that DeepSeek has now kind of catalyzed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, it's interesting. You mentioned the open source ecosystem. Like, how does DeepSeek kind of fit into the things that IBM's already doing, or even just the watsonx ecosystem itself?
Totally. So IBM has always been open source first, right? IBM Granite models, they're completely open source under the Apache 2.0 license. And honestly, the release of the kind of DeepSeek models, it kind of reaffirms IBM's belief that, one, that open source models are the key to kind of driving innovation and adoption. And one, if that model is available for everyone to use, then ultimately we can get faster and faster innovation, because right now, the main DeepSeek R1 model is available, right? That's a 671 billion parameter model. Most people can't exactly host it, but you can train distilled variants in kind of smaller models and teach smaller models to like behave in that kind of capacity and reason, ultimately catapulting that smaller model performance from what it was to something that can be even larger moving forward. And honestly, that's really exciting for enterprises to use, because ultimately it's a question of performance versus cost that you want to balance out.
Right, and it's also kind of that customization feature. If you're able to distill things down, you can get a more customized set of responses or set of behaviors, right?
Yep, exactly. So the kind of capabilities that the original model had, you kind of I'm simplifying, of course, here. You're kind of combining the capabilities that the original model had with some of the original capabilities that your kind of smaller or base model had as well.
Cool, cool. And how can developers get started using what we're already putting out there with DeepSeek and watsonx?
Totally. So the easiest way to get started is to go on a developer hub to get your API credentials. With that, we have a couple of tutorials out, one for just getting started and deploying the model. You can do that through the API as well as through the UI as well. And additionally, through the tutorial, you learn how to use the DeepSeek models as part of like a RAG RFP generation process, ultimately just to get started quicker. And this deploy and demand kind of catalog that we like to call it not only contains DeepSeek, but a lot of other models as well. So we're really excited for developers to get started on this.
Awesome, awesome. And final question, what can we kind of expect from the future of DeepSeek and watsonx from this kind of this joining? What can we look forward to seeing in maybe future releases or future things going on in watsonx?
Totally. So like you probably saw in the news, there's been a lot of discourse about different providers building models off of the kind of the models that they've released. So certainly we'll see kind of a lot more of these reasoning and planning models becoming available, not only kind of like the closed source ecosystem that OpenAI has, but of course, a lot more open source activity there, like you've seen with Hugging Face team kind of recreating some of the model weights and training procedure there as well. So we will definitely be on the lookout for kind of the IBM reasoning models and so on. We'll have a couple of upcoming releases, which I can't really directly announce, but really excited for people to get their hands on these kinds of models.
Awesome, awesome. And I personally, I kind of like it when someone comes on What's New and says, I can't tell you everything that's going on, because that means it's probably more exciting than if you could tell us. Just saying. But with that, Nisarg, thank you so much for joining us on What's New. I can't wait to see more of what's going on with watsonx, DeepSeek, and everything you have going on. Hopefully, you'll be able to come back maybe in a couple of months and share with us the new stuff that's happening.
Definitely, very excited.
Awesome. And
Thanks
with that, yeah, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to everybody who's listening and watching. We'll see you next time on What's New.